Good morning, everyone. We are in Avodah Zarah on Daf Chav Dalet, about 10 lines down. For Rabbi Eliezer lo chayish le'Ravia, so we're asking that is Rabbi Eliezer not concerned that the Parah Aduma was sodomized by the Ovdei Avodah Zarah? Why is he not concerned? Seemingly he is concerned. V'atanya amar lo Rabbi Eliezer. They said to Rabbi Eliezer, Ma'aseh v'lakchu amina ovei kochavim v'dama shemo. They told him that they took the Parah Aduma, that they purchased it from Dama, and it was okay. But what does he say to them? From Rila Remet Shmon, others say it was from Remet. Amar Lahu, Rabbi Eliezer says, Misham Raya, Yisrael ha Yimisham Nosa Misha Shenoda. You wanted to suggest that Rabbi Eliezer is not Chayish L'Revia, he's not worried by the Parah Aduma, that it was sodomized by the guy. But at the end of the day, what do you say? Rabbi Eliezer clearly says to them, the fact that they took it from Dama, that was okay, because they watched the animal, they watched that Parah Aduma from the time that it was born to make sure that it wasn't sodomized. But we see that he clearly is worried that it was sodomized. And over there, the only reason you were able to use that Parah Aduma was because we know for a fact that it wasn't sodomized. But clearly he is Choshesh L'Revia. Says the Gemara, you're right, Rabbi Eliezer Tartiyasle, you're right. There's really two things. It's not one, there's two things that Rabbi Eliezer is concerned about by the Parah Aduma. A is Kicha. Based on the pasuk, he's worried about kicha, that it has to be bought specifically from a Jew. And second of all, the chayish nami l'revia. The second reason that it's going to be a problem is because he's chayish l'revia. He's chayish that when you buy it from a goy, it actually was sodomized and therefore will not be kosher for the Parah Aduma. So there's two reasons to say that you cannot buy a Parah Aduma from a Avodah Zarah. It's kicha. It's based on the pasuk. V'yichu li Parah Aduma. You have to take a Parah Aduma and you have to buy it. Specifically, we said on the last daf to take it from a Jew. Amar Mar. So Mar says something very interesting. Mar is quoting, and anytime it says Amar Mar, we're quoting from what we just said. Yisrael hayu mishamrin oisa misha shenolda v'neichosh dilma rive li'ima kihava mabra. Who cares that they watched this Parah Aduma from the time that it was born to make sure that it wasn't sodomized? Maybe its mother was sodomized when it was pregnant. And if it was sodomized when it was pregnant, Amar Rava Vlad hanogachas asura hiu vlada nikho. If you have an animal that gores and kills a human being, so then that animal is going to be pasul, is going to be usher to be used, as is its child. Vlad hanirvas asura hiu vlada nirvu. That if you have an animal that's sodomized, then not only is that animal going to be usher, but its vlad is going to be usher as well. So who cares that you watch the child from the time that the child was born? But at the end of the day, if the mother was actually sodomized while it was pregnant, so then the child will be problem as well, and you won't be able to use it for the Parah Aduma. Says the Gemara, Ema Yisrael hayimishamer nosa misha shenotzra. You're right. They guarded the mother from the time that it became pregnant. You're right. If they went ahead and they didn't guard it from the time it became pregnant, then Enachanami would have to be that maybe they went ahead and they sodomized it after it was pregnant, and Lamaiseh, the Vlad will be possible as well. Since we watched the mother from the time that it was pregnant all the way through until the time that this Parah Aduma was born, and then we watched the Parah Aduma as well, we don't have any problems. Says the Gemara, V'neichosh dilma ravua le'ima meikara. Maybe the mother was sodomized before it became pregnant with this Parah Aduma. Did non kol apsulin legabi amizbeach vlad dosean mutarin. Anything that's possible in mizbeach, the children are mutter. However, V'tani ala Rabbi Eliezer oser. Rabbi Eliezer says that it's aser, and if the mother was sodomized, then it becomes pasul mizbeach. And then, if the child is then born, even if it wasn't sodomized from the time that it was pregnant, Lamais at the end of the day, it's still going to be the child of a animal that had been previously sodomized, and it's going to be a problem. Says the Gemara, Hanicha l'Rava. It's not a problem according to Rava, the Amar Rav Nachman, Machlokes Kishin Nirvu, Kishahin Mukdash, and Valkashain Chulin Dira Kol Mutarin. We have to just find one case where Rabbi Eliezer would agree that a Parah Aduma could be mutter. And if we find that one case, then we can say that the case of Dama ben Nesina was that case. So he holds, Rava Amar of Nachman says that the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim is when it was nirvu kishay mukdashin. Means you have a cow that's set aside as hekdesh, it's not pregnant, then it's sodomized, then it becomes pregnant. In that case, Rabbi Eliezer will say that in that case, even though it was sodomized before it was pregnant, since it was sodomized at the time that it was made hekdesh, it's going to be a problem. problem. However, he'll agree kishein chulin divrei hakol mutarin. Even Rabbi Eliezer will agree that if a regular animal, which is chulin, is sodomized, then it becomes pregnant and has a child, that child will not be affected. So we can argue that the para aduma in the case of Dama ben Nesina, the mother, which we're claiming might have been sodomized, it doesn't matter because it was chulin, and therefore even if it was sodomized before it became pregnant, it's not a problem. And from the time that it became pregnant with this para, which would have been a problem according to everybody, we were watching it and we were guarding it. But according to Rav Huna bar Chanina, Amar Rav Nachman, that Rav Eliezer will say that it's a problem even by chulin. It's a problem if an animal is sodomized. Then it's a problem for the next generation, for the kids as well. We have no case because we have to be choshesh that even though this animal, if you want to say, was chulin, according to Rabbi Eliezer, we're still choshesh that maybe the mother was sodomized even before it became pregnant. Says the Gemara, Ema Yisrael hayimeshamer nosah li'ima misha shenotza. No. So now it's going back even a generation. You have Jews, and that's where I stopped you. You're not going to even if you didn't like that, you're not going to like this. It's saying that the case is that the Jewish people watched the mother from the time that the mother was born through it. Again, you have to remember the mother's having the baby. Let's say, as we'll see soon, in the 3rd year maybe. So it watched the mother for the first 2.5 years. Then it watched when it got pregnant and the baby was born. You have this paraduma which has clean pedigree. It wasn't sodomized. We know that it wasn't sodomized and the mother wasn't sodomized. And therefore you can use it even according to Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe its grandmother was sodomized. We don't go back that many generations. So it comes out that according to Rabbi Eliezer, he would say that we watched this para, we watched the mother for 2 to 2.5 years, and then Lamaisa, we watch the child as well. Now, you think it's crazy, but if we know that it's a paraduma, and it's something that
no, it's a we don't know the part of born.
So the Gemara, one second, the Gemara.
Know the mother. The
so the Gemara is going
to cow in the world.
The Gemara is going to get to that because the Gemara doesn't leave anything unturned. So the Gemara is going to get to that in 1 second. But what the Gemara is suggesting at this point is that we know we had an inclination that this mother would have a paraduma. Therefore, from the time that this mother was born, we watched this mother to make sure that there was no sodomized. There aren't that many red cows in the world. You find a red cow, you watch the red cow, you assume that it's going to have another red cow after that, and Lamaisa, you take it from there. But the Gemara was bothered. The Gemara was bothered by Shlomi. Amar Mar Yisrael hayimeshamer nosah misha shenotzra. Mar says that Yisrael would watch it from the time that it was foreign. Minaya dinan, says Shlomi Leibowitz. How would you know? What are you telling me? You're going to go ahead and you're going to send out people. It's one thing to work for the government, but if the government had to go ahead and hire people to watch every single par that was born in the province, it would be a problem. How did they know that it was going to maybe be a paraduma, that they decided it was worthwhile to watch the mother even for 2+ years until this para was possibly going to be born? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you how. Amar Rav Kahana kos edo ma'aviyun lefanei b'shah she'ola aleh hazachar. What does it sound like? It sounds like Yaakov Avinu. What would they do? They would hold a cup of redness, a red cup, in front of it while it was having relations, while it was mating, and that would cause it to have a red cow. Ihachi amai damei al yikarin. Then why is it, if it's, you could do this at home, so then why are paraduma so expensive? Anybody could just do that at home. Says the Gemara, ho'elu shtei sa'aros posos bo. No, it's not so pashut. You might get a red cow, but we know that if you have even 2 saros that are not red, it's going to be pasol. Umayshna did who? So how did they know that the cow of Dama ben Nesina had a good chance, a better chance than any other cow of having a paraduma? Amrav Kahana b'muchzakes. Because it was muchzak. It was muchzak. There was a chazaka that this cow or that this mother had red offspring, like Rabbi Black was saying, that it's not just a random cow that we took. We had a cow which was muchzak, wherever far you want to go back, or it had another child beforehand. There was a chazaka that this child, maybe this is not the first cow that it had. So it had a chazaka that it has a few different red ones, and with that, and holding the kos edom. The kos edom might not work at home, but if you're doing it with their case, it's already muchzak to have red jeans and to have all these things, and then you hold the red cup, there's a good chance you can have a paraduma.
A little bit like a racehorse. Like
so you go ahead and you mate it, and you
take a big racehorse and you mate him, and then you think this kid's going to be a runner.
Right. So similar to this idea as well, where they were then willing, based on the paraduma and the fact that they really wanted a paraduma, they were willing to go ahead and they were willing to watch over this paraduma. They were willing to watch over the mother even for 2 to 3 years. Again, it doesn't. Again, how exactly they watched over? They had shifts, whatever it was, like a mashkiach in and out. I don't know exactly how it was, but Lamaisa, they watched over the mother. Then they knew that the mother was clean, the baby was clean.
Yesterday we learned you're not allowed to watch animals mate. These guys are passing red wine while the animals are making.
Okay, so they're not watching it. They're in front of the animal.
Breeder, you're allowed to do it.
No, you said later on you're allowed to assist. You're allowed to assist the animals.
You're allowed to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's
the answer to the question.
They do that.
Zok the Gemara. Yosef Rav Ami v'Rav Yitzchak Nafka. I forgot what it was like. I've been gone too long. I forgot it. So
Welcome back.
I need another vacation for like 10 minutes here. Yosef Rav Ami v'Rav Yitzchak Nafka. Ikla de Rav Yitzchak Nafka. So Rav Ami and Rav Yitzchak Nafka were sitting on the porch of Rav Yitzchak Nafka's house. Pasachad minay v'yamar. It doesn't say which one. One of them started and said the following: V'chein haya Rabbi Eliezer posel b'chol korbanos kulan. Not only was Rabbi Eliezer posel by a parah aduma that was riva, but he was posel any korban at all that was bought from an idolater. Because l'maisa we have to be worried that not only by the parah aduma are we worried that something happened to it, we have to be worried by all korbanos. Pasachidach minay v'yamar mayusfu lechavruei Rabbi Eliezer. So what are the Rabbanan going to say? So the other guy asked him. He said, if Rabbi Eliezer really holds that, what are the Rabbanan going to answer him? The Rabbanan who hold that not every other animal is going to be a problem to bring as a regular korban. Called son kedar yikbitzulach. So they answered him that you could bring any tzon you want. Amlan Rabbi Eliezer kulam geir and gurum and helasid lavo. No, that's talking about in the future. In the future, you could buy any animal you want from the goyim because they're all going to become gerim in the future. So when they're gerim, then they're Jewish. You could buy from them. But enachanami now, at this point where they're not gerim, you can't buy for them. Amar Yosef Mikra. What's the kra that they're all going to be gerim in the future? Ki azepo chalamim safra brua go. They're all going to become, they're all going to turn. Maybe they're not actually going to become Jewish. Maybe they're just going to give up their idolatry, but they're not actually going to become gerim. It says that they're going to go and they're going to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're going to serve Shechem Echad, Alachacha, like the bracha that was given by Yaakov Avinu, and at the end of the day, they're all going to become Jewish, and therefore Rabbi Eliezer will say that Lamaisa, at that time you can go ahead and you can use the korbanos from the goyim, but at this time you cannot. And the Chachamim will say, no, that's not just talking about Lasi Lavo. Even today, you're allowed to use regular animals, maybe not a paraduma, but a regular animal you could use for a korban from the goyim. Says the Gemara, Rav Papa Masni Yachi, Rav Zvid Masni Yachi, just another girsa for the next few lines, but the same exact thing. It's just a question of whether one said to the other or they both said to each other. Vitarvayu Amri, both of them said at the same time. Vitarvayu Amri, and then both of them said afterwards, what would the Rabbanan answer him? Called some Kedar Yikbetulacham, Rabbi Eliezer, Kulam Gerim, Gurum Hain Lasi Lavo, my Kraki Azabachalam, himself, Likro Kulam, B'Shem Hashem, Maskala Rabbi Yosef, Vidom Evotskachamu Dadribu, Amalei Bai, Lav Doshchem Achak Ksiv. The same exact thing, just instead of having a conversation between the two of them, they both said the same thing and then answered each other. Meisvei. So now we're going to go on to this idea of Rabbi Eliezer that any animal that you buy from an Ovdei Avodah Zarah is going to be possible for a korban, not just a paraduma. Moshe says to Paro, please give us zvachim and holos that we can take, and not just our zvachim and holos. Let's take from you so we can go in and we can shach them and bring a korban l'Hashem. How can they bring zvachim and holos from Paro as a korban l'Hashem? Says the Gemara, Kodem Matan Torah Shani. Before Matan Torah, it wasn't a problem. Tashma, similarly, Vayikach Yisro Chosein Moshe Olo zvachim lelokim. You see that Yisro took, and maybe the Jewish people took from Yisro Olo zvachim lelokim. Yisro Nami Kodem Matan Torah. Yisro was also before Matan Torah, and at the end of the day, before Matan Torah, there wasn't a problem. But after Matan Torah, it's going to be an issue. Handi Chalamandi Amar Yisro Kodem Matan Torah Hava. That's okay according to the Yisro came before Matan Torah. Elalamandi Amar Yisro La'achar Matan Torah Hava Ma'ikal Meimar Ela Yisro Mi Yisrael Zavin. If you say that it was after Matan Torah, then you can say that it wasn't Yisro's animals. It was a Yisro bought it from the Jews, and therefore it was Jewish animals, which then got passed on to the Jewish people, and you didn't have to be worried about Yisro going ahead and being marvia them.
He could have bought the animals.
Right, the problem is that if he bought them and then he had them in his possession for a certain amount of time, then we have to be worried.
So in other words, Yisro wanted to bring an offering, and he went to the Jews and bought it and then donated it.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Right. Tashma. Now we're going to quote some psukim. Meisveis. Tashma either means a proof, a support, or it means a meisvei. It means
maybe
a kasha.
that's what all Goyish kings did, Rabbi. Because the Goyish kings were bringing sacrifices to the temple, right? Periodically, especially on Sukkot.
So what? So you're saying that they always bought it from the Jews?
They would come and buy Jewish animals and then donate it.
The question is,
bring their own.
Right, but that's the whole question. Is it a problem for the Jews to bring it, or is it a problem even for them to bring their own animals on the thing? We're talking about the Jewish people bringing an animal of the goyim on the mizbeach. The question is, would it be a problem for them themselves to bring their own korban?
We had that thing with Rome. They sent an animal in, he brought it in, he put a mum on the lid.
Right, because their mumim are different than our mumim.
Right, so it must have been their animal.
Right. Tashma vayomer Shaul me'amaleki haviyum asher chamal amal meita vatzon ve'abakar leman zavuach l'Hashem lakecha. So you see that these were animals that were coming from Amalek.
Right.
Says the Gemara, my meitav. No, what does it mean, the meitav of tzon ubakar? It doesn't mean the actual animals, the meitav. They took the money of the animals of Amalek and then they used them to buy korbanos. Umayshna meitav. So if they weren't going to use them anyway as korbanos, why did they have to get the best animals? Why did they just get the regular animals? Because if they want to sell the animals for money, it's easier to sell good animals and more money to sell good animals than to sell bad animals. Tashma, the Torah, the Navi says, Vayomer Aravna. It's not Arona, it's Aravna. El David Yikach v'Yala Adoni HaMelech HaTov Ben Avrei Abakar LaOlav Amorgi Muchlei Abakar LaEtzim. So Aravna says to David, "Go take my animals," and David takes his animals. So what do you see over here? Rav Nachman, Aravna Ger Toshav Haya. He was a Ger Toshav, and a Ger Toshav, Rashi, third line, Shekibel Sheva Mitzvos B'nei Noach. V'Hare Revia B'Chalal. One of the Sheva Mitzvos B'nei Noach is Arayos. So we have to assume that he wasn't over Arayos either, because he kept the Sheva Mitzvos B'nei Noach, a Ger Toshav, and therefore David was able to take an animal from him. Just parenthetically, the Gemara says, "My morigim." What does morigim mean? Amarula mita shel turbil, a bed of turbil. My mita shel turbil. Iza de korkasa de taishanan. Somehow it's some type of bed of a goat that threshes, a toothed goat that threshes. Sounds like it's not a flat bed, some type of bed that has bumps on it. Okay, Zok the Gemara. Amar of Yosef. Micro, where do you see that a mita shel turbil? How do you see that a morig is a mita shel turbil? It says in Samticha lemorig. That's the word we're talking about. Choretz chadash bal pipiot tadush arim v'tidog v'gvos kemot tasim. So you see that the morig is about tidosh. Fine. Meisvei. V'yasa paros helu olal Hashem. They took the plishtim paros and they brought them as a olal Hashem. Says the Gemara, how could you bring plishtim as olal Hashem? Hora shaisa. It was a hora shah. What's the story? There was miracles over there that the paros of the plishtim walked all the way from the plishti territory to Eretz Yisrael. So since they walked, even though in general we don't usually take the animals of the Ovdei Kochavim and of the Plishtim, since there was a miracle here, Horasha, they said these special animals we can go ahead and we could bring as a korban. We're going to get to these animals in just a minute. These weren't animals; these were singing animals as well. Hachanami mistabra. This is also mistabra that these paros were special. De'ilo temachi ola nekeva miika. It must be that this was Horasha because we know that it says paros. These are female paros. And we know that in general we don't go ahead and bring Ola Nekevas. The Gemara says you can't bring that as a proof. You can't say Hachanami Mistabra makes sense because if they were women, if they were Nekevas, then you wouldn't bring them because we know that you could have brought them. Maybe he was talking about a private bama. Vayaleu zachar mashma, it implies zachar. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak v'yaleh ksiv. No, it implies nekeva. So we see over here that you could bring a bama on a bama yechid, on a private altar, you could bring a nekeva ola. You can't bring a nekeva ola on the mizbeach in the temple. Therefore over here it's saying it wanted to bring a proof that it must be that what? It must be a horasha because they brought the nekeva, saying no, that's not a proof because maybe they brought the nekevas on a private bama. Therefore, you don't have a proof, but at the end of the day, you still have the fact that we're going to say that it was a horasha. The fact that we even brought these paros at all, the pilshti paros, the reason that we brought them, they might have been nekevas, you're right. And if they were nekevas, then we brought them on a private altar. But how are we allowed to go back to the major thing? How are we allowed to bring any animals from the plishtim in the first place? In that case, it was a horasha. Since it was a miracle that they came and they walked all the way from plishti territory, it was considered to be horasha. Hora is like a morah, or morah is like it's like a teaching or a ruling. Shah means at the time. So there are certain times in history where you have a special ruling, even though the halacha is one way, Hora Shah, because of the circumstances of the time, we're going to make a special din specifically for this time. So over there, in general, we don't bring korbanos on the mizbeach from the plishtim. Hora Shah, since it was a miracle, Hora Shah, the ruling for that specific time was that in this specific case it's going to be okay. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Now we're going to go back and clarify what we're talking about. This whole worry that we have, again, of buying a animal from a Ovdei Avodah Zarah, from a non-Jew, is because we're worried that they were Revia, that they went ahead and had relations with it. But we said also, if you remember, that we're not worried about buying their own animals when their Revia would have caused their animals to become sterile. It means we assume that they don't want to make their own animals sterile. That's why we couldn't give them our animals, because they don't care about our animals. But if there was a time period where an animal would not become sterile, then you would go in and you would be worried. But if there was a time period that an animal would specifically become sterile, then you can buy the animals during that time period, because at the end of the day, let's say an animal, as we'll see, doesn't become sterile from having relations, then you can't buy that animal. But if it would become sterile, then they would never have relations. So the Gemara says, Gevul Yeshla, Pechusa mi bas gimel shanim nekeres, bas gimel shanim eina nekeres. Once it's 3 years old, or maybe even in the third year, it becomes sterile when you have relations with it. If it's under 3 years old, then it doesn't become sterile. Sorry, if it's under 3 years old, then it becomes sterile. Once it's 3 years old, it doesn't become sterile. So you can't buy a Intuit third year or 3-year-old cow, because you can assume that the Ovdei Avodah Zarah, you have to assume the worst, and maybe it had relations. Why would it have relations with it? Because it's not going to affect it anyway. But you can buy one that's younger, because it would have never had relations, it would have never sodomized it, because it would never want to lose the ability for its animal to go ahead and have and have other children. And Lamaisa, since it would become sterile, you can assume that the Ovdei Avodah Zarah was not with that animal. In all of these questions we had before, we can assume that they were less than 3 years old, and that's why we were worried about, that's why they were allowed to buy it from the Ovdei Kochavim, because if it was less than 3, then you can assume that it wasn't sodomized.
I could have answered all those questions yesterday. There was how come here no, less than 3? How come here yes, more than 3?
So that's what it says. Now that we've brought this in, you could have said that they were less than 3. So now we have a case where these paros of the Plishtim, they brought, and they were pchusam bibas gimel shanim. We're saying that they must have been pchusam bibas gimel shanim, that we brought them, so you don't have to be worried. Maskala Rafuna Breder of Nasan im kain hainu vespeneim kalu bebayis pchusam bibas gimel shanim mikayal. Understand? So you're telling me now that under 3 is okay. But the problem is under 3 you can't have kids. And yet these animals were saying that they had benehem. So they had kids, and now you're telling me that they were brought on the Mizbeach. What's the Gemara going to answer? What's the Gemara going to answer? Gemara is going to answer that it was Horasha. But right now, at this point, we're assuming that you can't have your cake and eat it too. That Lamaisa, you can't have the fact that these animals were under 3 and they also had banim, and if they were over 3, then you have to be choshesh. Says Gemara, Vatanya, par v'chamer bas gimel vaday lekoy mikan ve'elach safek. You clearly see that a par and chamor, once it's 3, vaday lekoin. What does that prove? That proves that when you buy a chamor or a par from a non-Jew, so until it's in its 3rd year, if it has a baby right away when you bought it and now it has a baby, in its 3rd year, it could assume that this is the first baby. You have to assume that this is its first baby, and therefore it has to go to the Kohen. If it's older, then you can assume it already had children, and you don't have to give the first to the Kohen, the Bechor to the Kohen. But what do you clearly see? You see that if it's in its 3rd year, you have to assume that this is its first baby. So you clearly see that under 3 or under it into its 3rd year, it doesn't have children. So if again, how's it possible that you tell me it was under 3 and it had children? Says a Gemara, Ela mechaverta kedishanina meikara. Rather, you're right. Really, the 3 had kids. And these 3 were actually 3 years old. And in general, you would not be able to bring these korbanos. You would not be able to bring these as korbanos because they were over 3 or into their 3rd year and they already had children. Lamaisa, why in this case were they able to bring these as korbanos? It was a horasha because of the miraculous cows that these cows were. We said, and we made an exception, that these cows can be brought on the mizbeach. So it's unclear. It sounds like horasha, even if they were sodomized, which we're not sure about. Lamaisa, because they're miraculous cows, we can bring them on the mizbeach, even though there was still a chashash that they had been previously sodomized.
I know about Peter Chamor, but there's also Peter Para.
There's not.
The first donkey.
It's a bechor,
right?
But this is the bechor. This is the bechor of any animal.
But like Pidyon Ben we do for humans.
That's a separate thing. But this is talking about the bechor in general. You give the bechor to the Kohen of the para.
Of any animal.
Of any animal, yeah.
So what's Peter Chamor? I thought it was just
onto a paro.
The what?
Donkeys.
The donkey.
Is that on top of it?
You picked it. You did it last year.
No, but the question is that on top of a regular? That's in lieu of the bechor. That's a petar chamor. I guess you can keep that. I have to look into it. It's a good question. Zakta Gemara.
Only kosher animal.
The what?
Transfer up to the paro.
There's an Indian adof. You have to cut off the head.
Right. Right, but that's in lieu of the bechor. That's instead of a bechor. Right.
Yeah, but it's only kosher animals.
Chamor's not kosher.
So he's saying petar chamor is specifically by a chamor as opposed to a regular bechor of a kosher animal. That's what he's saying. I have to look into it. It's a good question. Okay. Yeah. Zok the Gemara. So let's hear more about these cows. Says the Gemara, V'yashrena aparos b'derech al derech Beit Shemesh. Not only were these cows, they were yashrena. My v'yashrena. Amar Yochanan mishum Rabbi Meir she'amru shira. They went ahead and they sang. Not only did they sing, they turned their head towards the Aron and they sang. What song did they sing? These were cool cows. They sang Az Yamashir. They sang the orphan Mizmor Shul Hashem Shir Chadash Kin Lodas Shulim Yazmin Azura Kodsho. Rabbi Elazar Amar Hashem Malach Yirgezu Amim. Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Hashem Malach Yeuslave. So obviously all of these have much deeper meaning, but all of these opinions say that they sang different Prakim of Tehillim. Comes along Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha and Amar, he says, no, it was even better than that. Not only were these cows that singing, not only did they sing Tehillim, they made up their own songs as well. Says the Gemara, what did they make up? Roni Roni Hashita, Hisnofifi Birov Aderech HaMechoshekes Birikmei Zahav, HaMehula Bidvir Armon, Umefora Ba'adei Adayim. They sing the acacia, be exalted in your beauty. This is what they sang to God. You should be exalted. You're girded with gold. You're glorified more than the books of the palace. You're adorned with a crown. Ravashi Matzon Lahad Rabbi Yitzchak, he says, no, you're right, but Ahava Ibn Saram Vayomer Shekum Hashem Yisrael Mayam Rabbi Yitzchak Roni Roni Ashita. You're right. That is a real song, but it's actually not the song that the cows sang. That's a song that Bnei Yisrael sang when Moshe Rabbeinu said, Vayibin Saron, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Hashem, so Yisrael answered with this song. So either Yisrael said it, or the Paro said it.
And they shechted these animals?
These animals.
They're singing cows. They're
Yeah, but this is on the way.
pretty
No,
special.
You make
this
a
is,
fortune of these guys.
one second, this is while they were going. This is while they were walking. While they were walking from the Plishti. That's why it was a Rasha.
Hour required.
Not so crazy.
Hold on. These cows were during whose time?
This is the time of the
Before David
Plishti.
or after David?
Shmuel.
Exactly. Before David or after David?
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Oh, what's the difference? They're singing Tehillim. David wrote the Tehillim.
Okay, so they made
These
up
cows,
the
these
Tehillim.
cows might have been singing stuff
Yeah,
that David didn't even
cows.
write yet.
Amarav. Amarav. Let's just finish up two more lines. Kiman Karu Pirsa Lesifre Devir. Why did the Persians call their books Devir? Mehacha v'shem Devir lifnim Kirya Sefer. So the Persians would refer to their books as Devir because at the end of the day you see that Devir is Kirya Sefer. Rav Ashi Amar Kiman Karu Pirsa Lenida Dishtana. Why did the Persians call a Nida a Dishtana? Mehacha ki Derech Nashim Li. Because the Derech of Nashim is Li. What's Derech Nashim? Derech Nashim is Dishtana, and therefore the Persians refer to Nida as a Dishtana. We'll pick up on Chaf Hayam and Aleph.
Hanania.
Rabbi Hanani ben